Good morning. I see people are joining us right now. So I think without further ado, good morning, everyone. My name is Jan Voska, and I work as a cultural attaché at the Embassy of Czech Republic in Washington, D.C. And on behalf of the Embassy, I would like to welcome you at today's webinar, Connecting Czechs in the US, Czech Global Presentation. So thank you again for being with us today on at least what in the Washington, D.C. is very rainy morning. Connecting Czechs in the US is the first part of the Zoom series organized by the Embassy to stay in touch with the Czech community in the United States during the COVID-19 outbreak. We aim to strengthen ties between the Embassy and Czechs, descendants of Czechs, and friends of the Czech Republic in the United States, and their associations, including schools, museums, and cultural and sports organizations. Today's webinar has two main goals. First of all, we want to start the tradition of webinars that will serve as a meeting and connecting platform between the Embassy and the Czech community. And second of all, to introduce new tool presented by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that should help in connecting our compatriots living abroad. New platform that is called czech.global. So I suggest that today we start with the czech.global presentation. And since the presenter, Sarah Polak, promised that it will be very interactive, I believe we will organically get to know most of us during her talk. We are around 20 to 30 people. So it's a very nice group to get to know each other more as she speaks and you ask questions. However, if you want to ask any question already now or want to introduce yourself, please feel free to do it in the chat box. It's ready for your short introduction. I promise if you are interested, I can share the contact information of everyone who is here today so we can all build our network. I will also ask you to turn off all microphones unless you are speaking. And finally, I would like to ask you if you are fine with us recording the meeting, because there are some of us who couldn't make it and they asked me if we can record the presentation for them. So if everything is fine with you, without further ado, I would like to introduce today's main guest and speaker, Sarah Polak. Sarah is an Oxford-educated archaeologist working in the field of artificial intelligence. And among other things, she is the leader of the Czech Global project. Sarah, we are very excited that you are here with us, and I'm giving it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jan. It's a very generous introduction. Hello, I'm Sarah. It's really nice to meet you all. I've been working in startups and various technological companies for the last 7 years, almost 8 years. And one thing that I hate most, and I think that all of us hate, given the COVID situation, is endless Zoom meetings that are just like someone sharing a screen and people just staring blankly whilst thinking about like wanting to go get a coffee. So I'll try to make it as interactive as possible. Basically, what I want to tell you is why how Czech Global originated in the first place. Why we feel it's very important, and also show you the platform itself. It consists of two main parts, the website and then the membership area. I will show you both, but I would really like to encourage you to ask questions during the time. I'll ask you explicitly to come forth and say whatever it is that you may want to say, like during a wedding, but also I would really like to keep in touch with you after this. The reason why we're doing this is that we feel the Czech community needs to come together a little bit more, that there's a lot of fascinating Czechs all over the world, and we didn't necessarily have a place to connect in one place. So I really want to encourage like the human cultural aspect here. You know, being an archaeologist is something that's important to me. So I'll leave my contact details and you can reach out to me afterwards as well. We can have one-on-one conversations. But just to move very quickly before I start sharing my screen and it all becomes very boring, to why I'm here. Firstly, thank you so much, Jan, for being so proactive and for putting the community together and for inviting me. It's a huge honor. And thank you also, Daniela Smetanova from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Czech Republic, who is a phenomenal woman who is really supportive of Czech Global and really understands the spirit of what we're trying to do. So Jan and Daniela really made this happen as well. Me personally, as you can tell from my English, I was unfortunately raised by a bunch of Brits who forced me into a Monty Python accent. So I've been in the UK between 2010 and 2019, roughly. So almost 10 years. And something basically that I found, just speaking purely like from a personal perspective, is that I saw a lot of frustration and bitterness. Like in the late kind of 2000s, people were thinking, you know, we had the Velvet Revolution, but we still don't really have an identity. The kind of standard skeptical Czech approach to everything of being very individualistic. Oh, Czech Republic sucks. I'm going to move abroad and it's all going to be fantastic. And then the first year or 2 year isolated at university, studying archaeology and like wearing tweed, and you're very happy and eating fish and chips. And then actually slowly you realize that Czech Republic's great, and that you miss your family, that you miss the culture, that you miss the food, that you miss the beer, that you miss like Czech comedies and like the specific sense of humor that we have. And because unlike the Polish or unlike the Slovaks or the Hungarians and the rest of the V4, we don't have a strong central identity. We're quite a skeptical people. Like we're one of the most atheist nations. We have one of the highest indexes of being skeptic towards any kind of institution. So we naturally, when we do go abroad, we go as individuals, and we don't really have a tendency to connect. Like when you go on holiday, the last thing that you want is to be talking to fellow Czechs. You want to go somewhere where Czechs ideally don't go. But something that my friends and I who've lived maybe abroad for a long time have in common, that when you move back to the Czech Republic, it's like paradise. It's really safe. It's relatively cheap. The living conditions are great, beautiful nature, great people, beautiful language. And you suddenly start actually realizing your identity, but when you're like 30. And some nations have this ingrained like since the age of like 2. So it's a really interesting cultural difference. And with this, we were approached by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who did something that I think is really unique and really fantastic to see in a state institution, which is that they organized a hackathon, which is just epic. And because I'm from the startup community, I work in the AI sphere. Basically, me and a bunch of like random people who all kind of basically live in the cellar normally and like hack away. We were invited to the ministry, so we came in like trainers and like ripped t-shirts, and one of my friends who is an active scout actually had a massive knife that he left in his rucksack because he was going on a trip somewhere. So we went through the ministry x-ray, and they weren't very happy about that because it's just a bunch of random hackers that came through the door. And that was sometime in June. And then June, July, and August, we're working on like how to even create this community, how to create this platform from a technological perspective. We kind of got there, we created a concept, but it's all nice on paper, and then you actually have to go and do it. So after the hackathon ended, it was me and a friend who basically just like sat down and we're like, okay, there's 2 of us, let's do it. So we built a website and we built a membership portal, where the community can centralize. So this is now a running project. We had a soft launch on the 28th of October, where we're celebrating the Republic. And then another launch with a webinar, much like this, for the Czech global community on the 17th of November, for the anniversary of the Velvet Revolution, which was the kind of like first time that we really met the community in this kind of virtual setting. Martha McCabe, I see you. It's great that you came again. It's awesome to see these faces. And while we're quite a small community, there's roughly 550 people, 600 people right now. They're extremely active. People on the portal, and I'll show you in a minute, are sharing stories. Like random people from Switzerland with people from Venezuela are sharing recipes for dumplings. People are getting to know each other. We're starting to cooperate on like launching startups. It's a really, really great community. And the ministry and the Czech centers have been great in supporting us. And we hope to roll this out even more in the coming year. So thank you again for being here. And I will now go and share my screen and show you what the hell I'm actually talking about and what the platform looks like. So can everyone see my screen? Yes, great, thank you. So what you see here is the website. So as I mentioned, the technological solution is twofold. First, there's a website. The website acts as a kind of information crossroads. So you go to the website, you can't necessarily interact with it that much. The main point of the website is either to ask a question if you're not sure, or it directs you to the membership portal. So here where you have joined the beta version that I'm currently pointing at, that straight away takes you to the Czech Global membership portal, where you can set up your profile. It literally takes like 45 seconds. You can do it with your Gmail, with your Facebook. Obviously, everything is protected from a GDPR perspective. It's encrypted, very secure. And you're able to join in the conversation. But like, this is like the official site where there's basic information about what it is that we're trying to do. So I'll run you through the individual pages. If you have a question, don't hesitate to post it in the chat, and I will answer them as they come in. But there's no rocket science behind it right now. There's some basic statistics. There's actually more of us Czechs than we realize. One thing that, and Ladislav Holý talks about this in his 1968 book, which I think in English translation is like The Great Czech Person and the Small Czech Nation, where we keep saying that we're a small nation. In Norway, there's like 5.5 million. They don't consider themselves a small nation. They consider themselves a strong kingdom. The Swiss, there's less of them than us. But because we've historically been plundered by various regimes, even though there's like 12.7 million of us in the world, we see ourselves as like a really small, not important entity, which I think is very unhealthy. And this is something that this solution is also trying to change. We're all over the world. And basically the main point of this platform, I want to make this really clear, because I know that during COVID, there's been a lot of like empty PR projects that have popped up, let's face it, where technology promises to solve something, but actually oversells itself in terms of PR and marketing. And it's actually something that it can't solve, and it's just a way of getting an investment. We're completely non-profit. Like this is genuinely like an NGO where we create a technological platform where people can connect. So there's no payments involved anywhere. There's no commercial transaction of any sort. I know that this maybe sounds obvious, but I just really want to reiterate that. And basically, like the main thing that the three things that it aims to solve is to create a brand, like a global brand for Czech Republic, and actually strengthen Czech Republic's PR, Czechia's PR in the world. Connect all Czechs all over the world, give them the option to connect without necessarily dictating the type of content that should be there, but giving them the opportunity to talk to each other. And also collaboration and ideas, because again, Czechs are notoriously quite bad at cooperating. So we really want to encourage by providing a completely independent platform to take away that sense of fear that someone's going to like steal your idea or someone's going to try and monetize it, by just giving people like their new social media for Czechs, where people can risk-free collaborate. Basically something that you have on the homepage. There's a Czech map of all the Czech centers all over the world. There's also hyperlinks to the concrete websites of these Czech centers and like all the key information bits and bobs. This is just important, I think, also psychologically to see where Czech Republic has representation, but also it's important from a kind of information perspective, because sometimes these websites are not straightforward to find, so you just have everything in one place. And there's another map which is more complex, which also involves all the details about Czech embassies. So that's at another part of this website, but you basically have two maps, one that's more high level and one that's more granulated, so you can find everything in one place as you need. We also have Czech Spotlight. So Czech Spotlight are the main things that are happening basically like in the Czech ecosystem. So if someone gets a fantastic award for something, or for example, recently we actually won an Emmy Award for the Marty is Dead documentary, which was a historic first for Czech filmmaking and documentary making. We put this hardcore stuff we put here. And then Czech blog is still hardcore, but it gets updated more regularly. So they're basically like blogs from, and you can see the individual, there's a lot of culture going on recently because there's a lot of online activities before Christmas, but you also have the individual categories that you can click, and then basically like you get to see all the blog posts that are under that specific category, like technology, science, culture, business, etc. We then have live RSS feeds going straight from the Český rozhlas, the Czech broadcasting service. So you have constantly up-to-date Czech news. And of course, we have Czech partners as well. So a big thanks goes to all of these. I don't want this to sound like the Oscars where you thank someone and you don't mean it. in this case, without these people, this project really wouldn't happen, because we're not doing it for money or fame. We're doing it because it's something that we deeply care about, and we're really humbled that these partners have come together to help us in their basically free time. So we thank you for that. And that's it. That's the homepage. And of course, you can join us on social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're on LinkedIn as well, freshly. So it would be great if you could give us a follow. If you don't feel like it, obviously don't. But it would be we're trying to grow it organically, so we're not trying to get thousands and thousands of people just for the sake of it. We want people who are really interested in the content, which I hope that you would be. So do give us a follow, because we've got some cool content on there and exciting events that we're sharing. Then we have Czech members here as well. Again, this is not a hugely interactive part of the website, but it's going into a little bit more detail about what the membership actually brings you. It gives you two options: whether you already have a profile, it sends you to the login page. If you don't have a profile, it sends you to the sign up page or the registration page. And it shows you the Czech map, as I mentioned, in more detail, where there's all the different embassies and Czech centers that I was previously talking about. There's a nice little digest from Czech Social. These were our gatherings when it was actually allowed briefly during summer at the hackathon. So you can see that we're really a bunch of people who need to get a better dress sense, really, because we're all a bunch of random technologists. But there you are. We'll work on that. This, for me personally, obviously, as an ex-archaeologist, this is hugely important to me. So Czech culture. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has accumulated all the online resources around video and audio recordings, whether it's theater performances, ballet, and all that jazz, and literally jazz. And personally, I would, if I can make a personal plea, I'd really encourage you to watch these and engage here, because the cultural sector is really suffering right now, and culture is something that historically is very important to Czech identity. So I'd encourage you to go here, because there's a lot of phenomenal recordings and resources that have been meticulously put together. And we have Czech events here as well. However, please do this is basically just like a taster version of the events that are going on. So I would encourage you to then go to the membership section, where we have a lot more events going on and people can actually interact with them. This is really just like an information billboard that is not that interactive, but it's just for someone who doesn't have a profile, so that they can have a look at that. But obviously everyone has a profile, naturally, because it's such a fantastic project. I don't want to get too bogged down here, but again, this is the more granulated aspect of the Czech blog. So you can see the different categories of culture, storytelling, politics, science, technology, business, traveling. So there's a pretty rich collection of stuff going on here. So you're very welcome to read that at leisure. And I see that you're asking some questions, so I'll just read out this bit, the Czech map. This sometimes takes a little bit longer to load, just because there's so many institutions here, and these Google widgets, especially today where Google actually crashed, are naturally quite slow. So go to the Czech map. If you go through your phone, it might just be a little bit slower loading, but if you want absolutely any information about any official Czech institution in the world, then you'll be able to find it here. And I will just quickly pop to the chat to have a look at what you're asking. Oh, it's people saying hello. Alice, Yitka, Eric, Daniela, Ramona. This is great. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them here, but I welcome you all to the chat, and I'm glad you're writing into it. So we're going to we're slowly, just to recap for people who might have joined recently, we're just going through the website and all the things that it entails. So this is Czech news. There are more RSS feeds, or more like live feeds of news about Czech Republic being embedded here. There's a beautiful video that UNESCO put together that is worth watching if you want to feel healthily patriotic, because we often don't realize what wonderful cultural wonders we have here. And I'm actually really glad that on one hand, COVID is catastrophic. On the other hand, it actually forces you to stay at home and explore Czech Republic and not just incessantly travel. So I've heard a lot of people from the traveling community actually saying that they've discovered things on their doorstep that they didn't even realize that Czech Republic had, that are extremely unique historically. So that's just a little teaser here. So this consists of two bits. Firstly, Czech Local, so local Czech news, which is especially good if you either live in the Czech Republic or obviously speak Czech. But we also have the Czech International section, where we have mentions of Czech Republic in the world, like the BBC and the CNN. Because often the coverage and the type of coverage differs. And this is actually a great idea. If you see, maybe something misrepresented in foreign media, it's always good. Like, we're going to be creating content, a lot more active content from January onwards. So if you see something where there's either a misunderstanding about the Czech Republic, or there's maybe something, we see this quite a lot, that a Czech invention is attributed to someone that is not Czech, who just can do better PR. I personally work in artificial intelligence, so I see this happening quite a lot, where a big international conglomerate takes a Czech scientist's work and claims it as their own. I'm not saying that that is universal, but we're always really proud, and we always really want to stick up for Czech inventors and Czech scientists and Czech people in the world who might be alone or might not have that strong of a local network to share their stories. So feel free to reach out to us so we can do that job for you. And speaking of this, Czech history actually aims to show, it's also an educational tool, to be honest, for the rest of the world, to see that things that we take for granted, like contact lenses from Otto Wichterle, or genetics, or things like plastic surgery, or Semtex, fun things like this, that are, or robot. We're celebrating the 100 years of the robot in January. There's a hackathon taking place as well. That'll be a fully online hackathon. All the details are in Czech Global, so I'll show you that in a second. But we'll basically be creating things like using artificial intelligence to help combat loneliness in the elderly, and really using artificial intelligence in a scalable way to save culture, save the economy. Really fantastic things taking place. So all of these things are here in Czech history. And then finally, we didn't really want to put this there, but because we're not egocentric, narcissistic maniacs, but we had to actually tell people who the hell we are and why we're doing this. So this is the about section, and then the Czech team, basically the people looking after Czech Global. So obviously we have the partners like Czech centers and the ministry that we're very grateful for. But on a day-to-day, it's me, my friend Alcha, who does a lot of the content and is responsible for basically making sure the whole thing is ticking over. Tomáš Studeník, he was the guy with like the high-level idea that he is great. He's one of the best innovators and like large-scale hackers here in the Czech Republic, and does a really good job of popularizing multidisciplinarity and the Czech spirit, the Czech je ne sais quoi. He's very, very good at that, and also just great to work with. So he's kind of there as in a mentoring capacity. And then finally, I also programmed a little chatbot called Rosum from Rosum's Universal Robots. He doesn't do much because artificial intelligence is actually not in such a strong position as we may think, but he's very cute, and he is on the website here. If you click on this little thing, then he can try and answer questions. He's not programmed in the sense like Google DeepMind that he will give you the illusion that he's an actual like living being, but he tries hard. So please be gentle with him, but he'll try answer any questions that you might have. And finally, if you have more questions, things that haven't been answered in this section, then we have the FAQ, where you can either, there's the FAQs that people generally ask us, so they've been pre-answered, or you can fill in this form and you can contact us straight away. Obviously, we're a small team. We do our best. It will take us a little while sometimes to answer. So and the reason I'm saying this is that I don't want to pretend that we're a team of like 25 people and then let you down. So I'm just trying to set expectations. But if we take a little longer, it's not that we're not interested. It's not that we don't care. It's just that we're sweating blood to make this happen. So please just be generous with us with your patience. But so far, it's actually been running really, really smoothly, and the community has been looking after itself, and people from the community have been helping each other, which is exactly what we want to achieve. So people haven't actually needed us all that much, which we're actually really happy about, because it shows true grassroots community. So that's the end of the website. I will now flip over to the membership portal. I want to ask you if you have any questions. Yes, Daniela has a great question, whether the website is only in Czech or do we plan the English version as well? Yes, that's a great question. We have the English version almost translated, and it's one of the things that will be rolling out as of January 2021. So it's a little late Christmas present that we hope to give to the community, that it'll be obviously in Czech first, and then in English. But the good news is that the membership portal is in English. So I'm showing you here the membership portal. You basically get to this when you click on the Join Us page. So it redirects you here. All you have to do is a very simple login. It'll ask you the standard, like give your email and a password, or it'll ask you straight away if you want to join through Facebook or through your Gmail. So it's a very, very simple process. Obviously, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to help. But once you log in, it may seem maybe confusing at first, but it's very straightforward. It's definitely not rocket science. The home section, imagine that you're on like your Facebook homepage, on your Facebook feed. This is exactly it. So you can obviously filter this. So you can filter this according to your personal feed. So for example, me personally, I am obviously interested in everything because I'm the director of the project. But for example, if you only take things like from technology or business, that will be your personalized feed that only shows to you. You may only want to filter by your activity as well. So only the things that you have posted, to see the history of your posts, and whether maybe you decide to write a blog for us, you'll be able to see only those things, or even people near you. So this takes your geographic location and automatically shows you like within your radius. I think it's like roughly 100 miles. It shows you basically like anyone posting near that location. So you can get a personalized geographic feed as well. So that's home. Then I'm moving on to discovery. So discovery is basically when you have no idea where to look and you want to find something random and cool. So this shows you all the top posts that are currently trending. It also shows you the members that are near me and that are also interested in similar things as me. It shows you all the different topics. So here we have technology, business, content creation, and you can scroll through these topics as you see fit. There's top members here as well. So those are people that I communicate with the most. Martha, there you go. I see you here. It's great to see you. Or Tomáš Mikolov, one of our probably one of the best AI scientists in the world, who spent a long time actually in America, in Google and Facebook and Microsoft. He's really done a lot of stuff, and is one of the people who gave rise to Google Translate in its current form, which is again something that not a lot of people in the world know unless you're from the AI community. We have to thank a Czech for that. So he's a good friend of mine, so I chat with him a lot through this portal. So here you can like see like your top friends basically and communicate with them. And you also have all the upcoming events. So you can see that, for example, right now there's a film premiere of Krakatit, another of Čapek's great works going on. So you can see that that's live. And you can also see other things that are going on and whether they're taking place through Facebook or Zoom, or whether it's a physical meeting. There's regions as well. I'll show you those in a little bit more detail shortly, but here in Discovery, there's regions that are currently trending. So for example, USA East Coast, there's a lot of activity going here on at the moment, which is great. People are contributing to the portal. So well done. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And here in Discovery, there's basically a bit of everything personalized to you, and that is currently going on. Now, I hinted at members. Members, you can again filter through a very similar way like you do your personal feed. So you can see the ones that are near you. People that have recently joined, like if you want to help someone out, you can filter through this and just randomly browse for people. You can search for specific people as well. And there's ambassadors and people who are online. So you can, if you want to chat to people, or if you want to, our ambassador program actually is, if you refer someone via an email, which you can do through here, that you basically say, hey, I saw this presentation, this girl, Sarah, she's mental, like she's an archaeologist, but she told me about this, so I thought I'll invite you. And then if that person joins through your invitation, you'll be given points. So if you say invite 100 people, you can become a golden ambassador, which is definitely something that you want to do, because something else that we're rolling out early next year is a rewards program. So we want to start sending Czech.global merch. So things like sweaters, like DVDs of Czech comedies, like all these things, like little physical gifts that will just remind you of home. So you definitely want to start competing on that front. And I will just briefly check the chat again, just to see whether there's anything coming in, any questions. Susanna says hello from New York City. Hello, it's lovely to see you. Susanna as well, originally from Prostějov. Fantastic. And now in Virginia and Washington. Wow, that's a great diversity. And we have a question from Jan. Thank you very much for asking that. Do we know if other states have similar platforms for their compatriots living abroad, way inspired by any of them? Actually, they don't. They might have some form of community that is usually based around a local group or a particularly enthusiastic group. So I know that, for example, the Poles in London have a group on this front, but it's very much that they meet up for a beer or they do like ad hoc Facebook groups. But a national platform of this type, we haven't found anything in our research that would be even remotely similar. So this is actually what the first cloud nation that has been created. And I don't say this lightly. Technology is giving, and there's been a lot of very philosophical debates that have been going around on how technology changes status quo, the role of the state, the role of the individual, organization of countries. And basically what we're creating here is, and again, as an archaeologist, I'm very excited because it's a new way that a society can function, but we're creating a cloud nation. So it's not a nation that's confined by borders. It's a nation that's not confined by anything. So you can be anywhere in the world, but you're still a citizen or you're a friend of the Czech Republic and you can get involved. And that is absolutely revolutionary. So I'm really excited about this because from a philosophical, political standpoint, it's great. In my previous life, I used to work on digitalization of politics. So for example, I never worked for any specific political party, but we had a platform that was basically like a database and like digital strategy. So we used to work for British elections, French elections, Singaporean presidential elections. I worked on maybe like 50 different campaigns, basically doing digital strategy for them. And this is something that like not even the British government has like figured out. Like we're really building a community, and this is one of the first times, and I'm not just saying this to make myself or make you happy, but this is one of the first times that I actually see a community genuinely working without it being really forced and without you having to like force people into it and it being really like, oh, well, I'm here because someone told me to post something. People are genuinely enthusiastic, and it's just a joy to see. So it's unique in a lot of respects. And Susanna is asking whether someone can join this meeting without having registered first. Yes, so if you want to send someone, as Jan just mentioned, the Zoom link, you can. It's also being recorded, so there will be a recording of this, and I will be doing these regularly. So I want to be doing these online meetups where even if we sit down and we have a beer together, or we share a recipe for bramboráky, I'll be doing these regularly. So definitely you're not missing out if you're not here. I mean, you are missing out because it's a lot of fun, I realize, but there will be more. Right, so now just to jump back into the screen share. So this is the ambassador program that I just wanted to tell you, which is in the members section. And finally, about, you can click on that. There's nothing too sophisticated here. It's basically who the hosts are, so you can get in touch with us directly. It's me, Tomáš, and Alcha. Get in touch probably either with myself or Alcha, because we're the most active, because we look after the platform every day. And here you also have a description of what it is that we do, the amount of members that are currently live, and also redirect back on the website. Now, and to dive into the meat of what we have here. So we have topics. These are thematic. So technology, business, creating content. This is an important one. If you want to write blogs for us, or if you're already writing blogs, or if you're, I don't know, taking cool photos, or whatever it is that you may do, send it to us. We'll be happy to help. Again, like, we will obviously like give you full credit. This goes without saying, but we're not looking to make money off your content, God forbid. We just really want to show it to the world, because we're proud of every Czech that is creating something. So we're very encouraging of that. So send us everything that you've got if you want to share it. If you want to create a new organization or workspace, this is something that we want to be pushing a lot in the future. We're communicating with Czech Invest on this as well, where they currently have a really exciting set of incubators that they're launching. Namely, they're on things like mobility, CERN, artificial intelligence, healthcare, and solving the COVID crisis. So they want to be incubating roughly 300 startups in the coming years. And what we want to do is also give this as a platform for people to be able to collaborate without being in the same geographic region. So if you want to collaborate on projects, or if you're stuck with something and you need help from the community, come here, ask, people will help you. We're trying to roll out a mentorship program as well, and we'll be creating content on that front from January onwards, so stay tuned. But it's also things like sharing recipes. It is those things like saying, like, what's your favorite Czech Zimmerman, or whatever that may be. Or if you're, we have this guy, he's called Michal Konstanský. He's one of the best cardiologists in the world. He lives in Switzerland. He's a really cool guy, and he plays like football, which is nohejbal, and he's really good at it. And in Switzerland, he's basically put like this random group of footballists together, and they go for a beer, and they like go to the pub when like they're playing against like Slovakia or Germany or whatever. And it's a really nice group that's really, really active. So if you want to set up something along those lines, or if you're maybe an avid scout, scouting is something that is really popular in the Czech Republic. It does a lot of really good education. So this is the type of topic that you might be interested in. Obviously, science and research, industry and manufacturing. For example, I saw Texas being mentioned in the chat. There's a lot of technological companies and manufacturing companies, including Tesla, moving there at the moment. So there's a lot of activity. So if you want to share something on that front, please don't hesitate. Government and politics, help for Czechs abroad. So again, a kind of like information centralized area where you can, we don't want to put ourselves into the position of like actively giving you help, because there's literally two of us. So if you need help, you need to go to the embassy or the Czech center. That's where you will get what you need. But at least here you have everything in one place. So this is the topic for that purpose. And finally, culture and media. Moving on to events, there's a lot of them going on. So there's like master classes. There's an online Christmas mass where you can hopefully hear the Jan Jakub Ryba. I used to play in an orchestra, and we used to play it every year. And the first time I played it, I was very excited. And then the fifth time I played it, I couldn't hear it anymore because the clarinet piece for it is so boring. But it's when I listen to it, it still touches my heart. So there's a lot of very variable things going on here. This is the Robothon that I was telling you about. So if you're a team, if you want to put together a team and you want to join, it will be online, so you can compete even if you're in the US. Professions, we would really like these to get going a little bit more. People are somewhat have been a little bit more maybe hesitant putting them on their profile. This is basically like a tag that you put on your profile. You can only choose one. We will do these in English as well, but basically it's things like if you're a technologist or if you're an artist, you can put that in your profile and then people can find you. So if I click on technologies here, for example, I can see all the posts that people that are involved in technologies have been putting here. So for example, Zbigniew has been on an internship at the University of Maryland. Congrats, Zbigniew. So he's a medical doctor and he's introduced himself to the community. And I will give him a heart for that because this is great. So you can find people that are that have been introducing themselves in these areas, and you can start communicating with them. And it's again just like narrowing down your search of the groups that you want to be in touch with. And finally, we have regions. So for an anthropologist, this was very difficult to divide up because no matter how you cut up the world, there's always someone that does it differently. So if you have any particular points, or you're an outraged anthropologist that thinks that it shouldn't be like this, let us know. But we've tried our best. So if I just scroll down to the regions that are most important to you, that is the US. So we have USA Western, the Southwest, the Southeast, Midwest, and East Coast. So East Coast is very active. That's got 14 members. I would encourage you again to spread this amongst your network. Obviously, a lot of the themes here will be circulating around the Czech Republic. But if you have any American friends who've never been to the Czech Republic and were never particularly interested, but suddenly think that this is a really cool idea, want to get involved, invite them in. We're as collaborative as possible. And basically, unless someone spams or is rude or does something illegal, we're really all embracing. So invite your friends because we want to share this with them as well. So if you then click on this, you will, we're just getting started with these regions. It's a relatively new feature that we added, but you can see the people that are online. So we have Peter, Justin, and we also have Derek Halsley that are online right now. So already I know that these are people that are interested in USA East Coast, so you can start talking to them. So if I want to talk to Derek, I can literally just click on him and it'll show me his profile and I can follow him. And I can see that he's just getting started, the topics that he's interested in, but I can also say hello. So Derek, I'm going to say, hello, Derek, you're in our demo. Hope that's okay. Sending love from the Czech Republic. There we go. So I've messaged Derek, and basically what I've messaged him in here now, you can see I'm trying to do a lot of one-on-one communication. So my inbox is very, very active here. So you can see that I've got like 19 conversations going on. So if you want to reach out to me, please do. I'm really excited to talk to you. And then basically you have, again, like on Facebook, you have this pop-up window that shows up and you can start talking to people. So if I just go, and if you want to go then away from the region, you just click on back to network and you're back to where we started. And you can see all the people that are online here as well. And if you want to invite someone, just click on invite down here. You can add as many email addresses as you want. Obviously, we don't want to spam anyone, but if you have like 20 people that you want to invite, great, whack them in here and then they can join our community and you can personalize the message that you send them as well. So I'm just going to check the chat again to see if anyone is asking us something. So 1 second. Right. Oh, great. Derek and Peter with us here today. Awesome. Derek, mea culpa for using you as our test guinea pig. Oh, great. That is great. Derek has just messaged me back. Cool platform. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. So there you have a direct demonstration of how this works. Question from Peter Justin. Can an association join as a member? Yes, absolutely. We would encourage you, if you have even if you have a company, again, please don't use this as like a spamming, not that you would, but sometimes basically like when these projects have failed in the past is because either one over-enthusiastic entity takes over or that people don't put content there. And we just want people to behave as humans as they normally would in the pub. So definitely, if you have a company, you can start a profile as a company, as your association, as an embassy, it doesn't matter. Sometimes so we have an inbuilt anti-spam filter in the signing up process. So some of the like info@xyz.cz email addresses, it might initially reject because it thinks that it's a spam bot. But we've tested this with several like email addresses that are not associated to an individual, and it's actually been working. So definitely you can just set up a new profile under a new email address, and that email address can be the one of your organization. You set up the profile as you would normally, but you just, instead of the profile picture, you may put a logo, and that is absolutely great. Like, we encourage you to do that. So definitely, Peter. Susanna, that your son has been trying it and wasn't let in, and he's in now. That's good to know. So I'm just reading back on these questions, and we seem to have answered them all. So we have roughly 10 minutes to go to the end. I'm happy to stay here and chat, answer any questions. I will type into the chat my email address as well, which is Sarah@czech.global. You can also find me as Sarah Polak on all social media. I'm very active on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook mainly. Instagram I've tried, and I'm absolutely terrible at taking photos, so they mainly just end up being pictures of my fat old black Labrador who eats everything. So you won't find many interesting things there, but you're very welcome to obviously connect with me. But I'm here to help. I'm as a closing remark, I'm really proud of being Czech, something that I never thought I would say 12 years ago, but I am so proud of being Czech. I'm really proud of our country and the identity and our historical impact that as well that we have had on the world. And my ambition, as well as the rest of the Czech Global team, is to, and of course our partners like the ministry and the Czech centers and the embassies, is to let the world know how the hell great we are. And we want to do this through this platform. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. It was excellent presentation. And I believe that everyone has enjoyed it as much as I did. And I think that you have answered the question I'm going to ask because the presentation was so great. But let's say I am a latecomer right now and I joined just 3 or 4 minutes ago, and I am very skeptical, and I'm thinking, well, we have all these tools in the world, right? There is Facebook, there is WhatsApp, people have these groups, Czechs in the United States on Facebook, and I am just skeptical. Why do I need to join a new platform? And we are, as you say, it's not very likely right now, but we are meeting in a pub and I have 2 minutes and you need to convince me to join the platform. What would you say me?
That's a great question. And my grandma asks me this all the time. So I have tested my answer on this. We have validated this a lot before, during the hackathon period of the summer. And the number one response that we got is that people are starting to be skeptical towards platforms like WhatsApp and Facebook, because there's been some privacy breaches, but also mainly like the functionality is actually quite limited, that there's also generational differences, there's geographic differences. So for example, in the UK, people don't really tend to use Facebook that much anymore. They use Twitter. So you have a lot of like missing, like the Venn diagrams don't quite like come together. So what we decided is to create something brand new. I know that this may seem like an extra effort to start off with, but actually people have been using this very actively. The great thing is as well that this has a mobile application. So you can download the mobile application and you get the notifications in your phone. And you can basically like divide. Something else that we've been getting is that people have had their Facebook profiles for say like 5, 6, 7 years, and they don't want people to see them on Facebook. They want to start afresh, and they want to start a fresh profile and maybe like represent themselves more professionally or in a different light. So this gives you the opportunity to do that. And also mainly this has all the functionalities in one place in terms of being able to filter by region, which is quite difficult to do on Facebook, unless you set up a new Facebook group, which again, like it makes it more difficult. You've got the topics, and you can also connect with people that are not, historically spammers, but that are genuinely dedicated to the one theme, which is basically building and promoting Czech identity.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're
And
welcome.
I really would like to invite anyone who has a question right now. We have seen a couple of questions being asked in the chat, but right now, if you want, you can just jump in. Please unmute yourself, and this is the perfect opportunity to speak with Sarah.
Thank you. Nah, no one wants to talk to Sarah. No, I'm joking. I realize that it's just been a very exhausting hour. But if you maybe feel more comfortable and you want to reach out to me on the network and you want to try it out and message me like one-on-one, like Derek just did, you can do that. You can add me on all the traditional social media forms, send me an email. But for me, the next ideal next steps would be to I feel like a YouTuber, like a really annoying YouTuber here, but to subscribe to the platform, invite people who you think that might find this interesting, but also start sharing content. You know, you don't have to wait for us to put it there. Like, this is yours. So if you have a really cool project or there's something that you're proud of because like your son or daughter just got to a school abroad and you like want to brag about it, great. Like, this is a community thing where you can do anything from participate on startups in a very professional way, and you can discuss budgets and business plans, all the way to asking for recipes for Christmas cookies. So like, this will thrive on the fact that it grows organically. We don't want it to be boring and stale and like statist. We want this to be organic and come from the bottom up. So as I say, unless it's spam, illegal, or rude, we encourage it. So please do share everything with us that you've got.
And Sarah, in the meantime, I see the question in the chat from Teresia. Teresia, thank you
Mhm.
for the question. The question is basically, what is the future vision for the platform czech.global? So to make it interview kind of question, where do you see czech.global in 5 years?
Ooh, so I think the short-term goal is to, because it's a very new platform, so all the things from the technical perspective, like making sure that it's bilingual and that there's more content, more events. We're also planning exclusive content with very exciting hosts that I don't want to reveal, but they're really big names that have a connection to Czech culture, doing webinars and seminars with them on the platform exclusively. So that's the short-term thing that should happen in the next 6 months. And then in 5 years, basically, we want to be the first cloud nation in the world, truly cloud nation. So when you hear these days that, for example, Estonia is really digitalized and Finland has a great education system, and everyone keeps talking about Estonia, Finland, et cetera, we want people in 5 years' time to be talking about Czech Republic as the people that have set the new trend of how to run and organize a community and a whole nation of people in the world. Basically, we want this to be a historic landmark of how technology in the time of crisis can do something concrete and make people come together. So that may sound cheesy and it's a very big plan, but that's the vision.
Thank you, Sarah. And another question came in the meantime. Jan from Chicago is asking us, is it only for Czech citizens or also for compatriots of second or other generation?
Great question. It's for everyone. Obviously, the content will tend to gravitate towards things that are Czech. So if you're someone French who's interested in, say, Nigerian culture, you might not find that much relevant content here. But if you're someone French who's who emigrated in 1968, or someone like Dominic Raab, who's the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the UK, whose father was a Jewish Czech who escaped from the Nazis while he still could in 1938, then yeah, absolutely. You may not speak Czech, but you're still very, very welcome. So it's for friends of the Czech Republic, Czech citizens, Czechs, Czech enthusiasts, everyone. We're not exclusive in any way.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that. There is another question, this time from Susanna from New York City. Who monitors the content of the czech.global? Is there any overall policy when it comes to it?
So the content is monitored by myself and Alcha. So the two of us that have been putting this together. We currently do it on a manual basis. So there are some basic like spam filters, but we do it on a manual basis. Here I'll sound a little bit negative, but we reserve the right to basically remove anything without explanation. The reason for that being is that it's an organic growing community, and if we see something, as I say, illegal or vulgar or anything of that sort, we don't have the luxury of time to be waiting for any permission. So we have the executive power to just remove it. But because we're sensible people, and it's like we have a privacy policy, everything like that that you can find on the website, we don't censor anything in terms of like critical thinking. So the last thing that we want is this to become some kind of bubble. Like we want like healthy exchanges of opinions. Like ideally, like fighting about politics isn't the most constructive thing ever, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So we don't censor anything in terms of like thinking out loud about stuff. We just censor the minimal that we can, so that it doesn't damage the community spirit. So I expect that as the numbers of people will evolve, we will become much more precise on that front. And we might like bring a new version of the privacy policy, and we will obviously keep you duly informed of this. But for now, it's based on trust and community. Oh, great. I have another question. And by the way, thank you, Ramona from North Carolina, sending hello. Matthew, that I mentioned October 28th and November 17th. Is anything being planned for February? Yeah, we're actually, we're planning a lot of stuff. There's a secret event with someone very, very important globally that we'll be doing exclusively on Czech Global. So definitely stay tuned. I'll be doing more of these. So actually the next one we're planning with the Israeli and Israeli Czech community, the Chamber of Commerce, and we're also doing one with the expats, Czech expats in China, specifically Shanghai. So we'll be doing a lot more of these. For February, we're planning a couple of hackathons, and we'll also be launching a couple of really interesting initiatives here in Prague on the terms of like technology and using artificial intelligence. So that's just like from the area where I'm at. We're also doing a cool new podcast with the National Museum. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and you will all find it in the event section in the Czech members portal.
And there is another question, this time from Peter from Maryland. While politics could be a sensitive issue, can the platform be used to inform about, for example, upcoming Czech elections, how to participate in from abroad and other things?
That's a great point. We don't. That's probably something that we will be dealing with as we kind of come across it. We will be. We don't want this to be a like political propaganda platform by any stretch. And if we do, like, if you inform people about elections, and if you like say, or like you're a local politician and you want to like say, hi, I'm here and I'm running for, say, mayor of the city, awesome. And we like really want to see that as diverse as possible. The moment that like a political party would come here and like start turning it into a propaganda machine, we would put a hard stop to that. Not because we would want to, God forbid, like anything against free speech. We want to be as diverse as possible and encourage critical thinking. But at the same time, we don't want to put people off that it would become something that they feel that they can't openly communicate at anymore. It's a very community-based thing. So this is a debate that's in process, and like, just honestly, because I don't want to BS you, I don't have a clear answer in my head, because I trust the community, and I hope that people wouldn't abuse it. And also, I would actually encourage you to just not police the community in any way, but if you see something that and you think, mate, like this is the 10th political post that you've put up like into the newsfeed like this week, and you want to like reach out to that person one-on-one and say like, maybe like this isn't the right place, like do you want to like take it to Facebook? You're very welcome to have these conversations between yourselves as well. In a way it sounds like a social experiment, but in another way, like one of the reasons why so some of the things like that work really well, like for example some Facebook groups, is because the community itself says, so for example, I'm at a dog spotting group because I love dogs, And actually, I was talking to the admins, and the group has like 100,000 people. And the admin said, we rarely ever have to remove anything because people just like dogs and they put pictures of dogs. And if someone puts an advert that they're like selling hamburgers, yeah, fair enough, we remove them because it's got nothing to do with dogs, unless the hamburgers are from dogs, which doesn't usually happen. But the community actually just like polices this itself. So as I say, we want this to be as organic as possible, but we will be informing you with a lot of advanced and very open communication if we see this as a problem, and we will solve it as a community.
Thank you, Sarah. And Sarah, I see that we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Jiří Krátký, Special Envoy for Compatriot Affairs. And I think that he would like to chime in, so I give it over to him.
Thank you. And hello, Jiří.
Hello, and thank you actually for this presentation. It is the first thing that actually I would really like to express my gratitude to Sarah for grabbing so well this project, because it was something what we were only reflecting, for a long time. And it was based on something what we were missing within the Czech community. And it was, let's consider it as a part of the answer. When we were evaluating what is really missing, in the Czech community, it was kind of global reconnection. You were mentioning there are the, the Facebook groups, the Czech in Vancouver, Czech in New York, etc. But what really was missing, it was something, like a global, what will be overwhelming, all this community and reconnecting. So actually, please share it with your friends, use it as a tool, because actually it's done for you. And actually it's supposed to reconnect you with the other people of the similar feeling and the way of thinking, all over the world. And this is really, something that we think actually why this project is really unique. You can do many things, in your local bubble, but you need to share it with the people who are similar to you from the other side of the world and who would never learn about what you do in your place. And this will be really pity, because I can see that you are kind of rich community and society, only that you are separated from each other. And you need to make really strong presentation, even what you were mentioning, what's concerning, the absentee vote, I mean the long distance voting in Czech Republic. This is what you are missing. You have to speak as a one, So actually, this was the goal, and I think that this is really like a tool that can really supply what you were missing for the whole time actually before. And only maybe just just as a joke, since we were mentioning the Facebook groups. I have been really thinking about this actually for quite a long time, to create something like a kind of almanac, when actually you would find concentrated all the information concentrated on the Czech Republic and on the kind of Czech cultural heritage. But since the moment when the Facebook were starting to change, the design that I didn't like, I said, oh no, we have to found something what would be actually ours, what nobody could change, and actually where we would be kind of master of, what we want and what we do. Because one day, if the Facebook would say, I will stop my activity, all these groups separated, in the world would disappear from one day to another. And this is exactly why this platform that is unifying, uniting, all community all over the world will be unique, and it will stay, it will be ours, and we will command it as, as we need. This is it. And so actually, once again, thank you very much. Please share this experience, and thank you, Sarah, for this actually tremendous job that you are doing for us all.
Thank you, Mr. Krátký.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. So we are almost out of time, and I of course want to thank everyone and say maybe what can be the next step of our conversation. So before we finish, and I speak for just 2 minutes, I promise, I want to see if there is any other question. Maybe we can do last question right now. Okay, I see that we have answered all of them, which is great. And I really want to thank Sarah, so much. It was really excellent presentation. I think that we have learned a lot, and I would like to promise to all of us that this doesn't mean that right now we are experts in the Czech Global, that we will never have any other lecture. I think that as the platform is going to be developing throughout the time, and if there will be interest from your side, we can always prepare presentation number 2. There will be new functions very soon, so we can again meet here and discuss Czech Global. We can, of course, discuss other things. I really would appreciate your feedback after this meeting, because this is once in 2 or 3 months when I would like to meet all of you and discuss what is on your mind, what events are we planning. We know that we can use the Czech Global right now. I would always like to bring some interesting guests who can speak either about Czech Global or about, let's say, how to do interesting Zoom webinar and share it on Facebook Live. So, you know, most of you are active in some sorts of organizations, or you are active as a Czechs living abroad or friends of Czech Republic. So please feel free to write me anything what is on your mind, what can really make your life easier. And when I will see that this is what is of the most interest, I can put up together another webinar very, very soon for you. So with this, again, I want to thank you, Sarah, so much. I also want to recognize, and Sarah did it, thank you at the beginning, Daniela Smetanova, who is new officer for Compatriot Affairs and who was a great brain behind today's webinar too. We wouldn't be able to put it together without her. And of course, I want to thank you to all of you for being here with us. And I hope to see you all soon. It probably won't be before Christmas, so I want to wish you Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. And thank you all for such a warm welcome. And I think this is such a great example of the fact that none of us knew each other before. And even through Zoom, we can actually strike up a warm relationship, and the website and the portal can be a place where we can keep in touch. So get in touch, and I'm here to help and answer any questions. And thank you everyone for your support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.